What's up, everyone? It is Fido from Self-Taught Hustle. And if you are new to this channel, I wanted to say welcome. Here at Self-Taught Hustle, we learn tech and how to leverage said technology to make money in the market. Accordingly, one of the ways to be able to make money in the market is by building opt-in forms. And this is a crash course for opt-in forms. So the likelihood that you already know what it is pretty high. But just in case you don't know what an opt-in form is that an opt-in form, which is the design that you see in front of you, is a way for a business to collect emails and promote their services and products to users who submit their emails via this form. And the reason why I believe that it's important to teach how to build these opt-in forms from scratch is because businesses have a need to communicate directly to current or potential customers. And because of that, there is a market demand for developers who can build these opt-in forms. That's why I thought it would be a good idea to set up a crash course that walks you step by step on how to build these forms from scratch. If you're interested in building more in-demand applications, go ahead and check out the following.
What is up, y'all? It is Fido. I know how difficult it can be having a technical skill set like coding and having one door after another shut on you because you're self-taught or you don't meet the air quote requirements. I spent nearly 2 years of my life getting rejected by company after company in my attempt to become a software developer, even though I could code. If you're tired of waiting for the right opportunity to arrive and have thought about freelancing as a software developer, join my email list at freelancejuice.com, where I share my lessons in the industry on how you can get started making money from coding ASAP.
Okay, so now that we know what an opt-in form is, why it's relevant, what we're going to start looking at are the different technologies that we're going to need to be able to build this opt-in form. The first one that I'm going to go over is going to be Mailchimp, okay? And Mailchimp is going to be important because this is where we will collect the emails for the opt-in form. And more specifically, we'll be doing an integration into the website that ends up being where the opt-in form lives through Mailchimp. And I'll show you guys how to do that as the course rolls on. We're also going to be working a little bit with Figma to work off of the design and as well as using a couple functionalities in Figma to help us be able to build what you see in front of you right now. And if you want to be able to design these yourself as well as want to get a basic understanding of user interface design principles, I have a crash course on Figma and design principles in the description box below. Make sure to check that out to get you up to speed. And then we're also going to be utilizing WordPress, okay? And WordPress is a content management system that allows us to essentially build websites without coding, which is super helpful. And one of the ways that you get WordPress installed into your website is through a hosting provider like Hostinger. Now, I do not have an affiliate link with these guys, but I do recommend looking at their WordPress hosting for setting up the website on the internet. And the reason why I recommend them is because they make setting up your website with WordPress very easy, and they even walk you through step-by-step how to set up, how to work with DNS if you need to. And that's part of the reason why I like this setup is because they pretty much essentially automate that entire process for you. You just have to answer a couple questions, do a couple things, and boom, you have a website that you can use WordPress on and a hosting provider that is optimizing the use of that WordPress. So you're going to have a very fast website if you set it up through this particular provider. And if you want to know more about hosting and and DNS at a high level. I also have a video that overviews the technical aspects of that particular topic in the description box below. So go ahead and check that out if you want a little bit more insight. Okay. But let's say that you went ahead and picked one of these packages, and you don't necessarily have to, but my recommendation is for speed to do so. But let's say you picked one of these packages and you've installed everything, your domain's all set up, so on and so forth. Okay. Once you've done that, then you are going to have your domain up. Okay. So it's going to be fully up, and you're going to get a default WordPress theme that gets installed. Okay. This isn't currently that theme because I took it off, but you're going to get a default WordPress theme that's installed. It's usually a banner of a little bird flying around. So if that's what you initially see when you set everything up, then you know that you are good to go. Okay. Now, one of the things that we are going to want to figure out is how to access the WordPress dashboard that will help us be able to build the opt-in form. And the way that you do that here is that you go to the URL input, okay, and then you do /wp-admin like this, okay. You hit enter. It's going to take a little bit to load, but then you'll get this login screen, and this is what will enable you to be able to access the WordPress dashboard. All you have to do is enter in your information, and you are now in your WordPress dashboard. Okay. Now, one of the things that I wanted to mention right away is that in this dashboard, a big part of what you're going to be doing on WordPress is going to have to do with plugins, this particular section in the column. Okay. So if you click here, this is essentially what makes up your website. Okay. So when everything is said and done, all the functionality that is installed into this website has already been pre-built and is in the form of a plugin on here. Okay. Now, I would recommend to really not touch too much stuff here, especially if you went with the Hostinger setup, because a lot of the stuff is already pre-installed for you to have an optimally performing website. Okay. But I just want to get you guys familiar with that, because we'll be directing you to this particular piece of the dashboard for you to go and install particular plugins that will be necessary for the build. Okay. Now, one of the first plugins, if you didn't do Hostinger, that I recommend you to install, if you did do Hostinger, it already comes pre-installed, is this all-in-one WP migration plugin. Okay. And the way to install that, all you have to do is go to the dashboard that we were just on. Okay. You're going to hit add new, and then for any of the plugins from now on, when you need to go and find them, and I'm telling you to go and install them, all you have to do is come to this particular section, go to where it says search plugins, okay, and then you're gonna just define the one that you need to get, and in this case, this will be the all-in-one WP migration, and it's this puppy right here. Go ahead and install it. It's going to have a button like this. Go ahead and install it. Mine's already activated, and then just activate it. Okay. And the reason why I recommend installing that is because you're going to want to back up that's the wrong button right here. You're going to want to back up your WordPress site, and this is where you do that. Okay. You can back it up as a file. I think it comes out as a .zip, if I'm not mistaken. And all you have to do is you export it, specify the file, and then it'll start exporting everything that's on this WordPress. Okay. And I recommend that you don't need it as much in the beginning, but I do recommend it anytime you make substantial progress to get a backup of that state of your setup, so that in case anything goes wrong, you always have that backup to be able to get things running back in a correct state. And the way that you go ahead and fix that is, let's say you run into a snag and you have to forcibly use that backup, all you have to do is, instead of going to export, you just go to import, and then you add that file in here. Okay. And then when you go and import, you should be able to get everything back to when it was working. Okay. All right, so there is that. And then the next part that I wanted to go over is that when you get set up with the initial theme for this particular WordPress, the default theme, it's going to look a little bit like this. I went to appearance and then themes. It's going to be this birdie one, okay? What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into pages and posts, okay? You're going to want to go into pages, and you're going to want to delete everything that's in here, okay? Just go ahead, clean slate, all right? And then you're going to want to go to posts and then delete everything that's in here, okay? Now, these are essentially different parts of your website, and since we're only going to be doing an opt-in form, I get rid of essentially everything that comes in their default just to clean things up and make it easier to understand in case you ever need to add additional pages, and it's just going to save you a lot of time and a lot of visual discomfort, okay? So once you've deleted everything that's in the post section and deleted everything that is in the pages section, what we're going to do next is that we are going to install Elementor. Now, I already have mine installed, but the same thing to install, you have to go to plugins, look for Elementor, okay? Elementor here. Let me see. Oh, add new, and then go to Elementor. On the right-hand side of the screen is where I'm typing Elementor. And install that. Okay, this puppy right here. And the reason why is because that's the website builder that we're going to be using to actually put everything together. Okay, and once that's all said and done, you're pretty much set to go. What we are going to do is that we are going to install a theme that Elementor works the best with, okay? So we're essentially going to install the canvas in which we're going to use Elementor to build the opt-in page. And the way that we do that is that we go to, let me see, it's appearance, and you go to themes. Here you go. And this is the theme that you're going to want to install. It's called Hello Elementor, okay? And kind of like the other things, I already have it installed. But if you need to find it, all you got to do is click Add New, okay? And typically I've seen it already just here on the home page. But if you need to look for it, just on the right-hand side here, just say Hello and then Elementor, and then it'll pop up, okay? And then all you have to do is install it. It's going to have a blue button like this, install it, activate it, and you're pretty much set insofar as getting ready for development. The last thing is that we'll go ahead and go to pages, and then we are going to want to set up one page for our opt-in form. And the way that we do that is that we go here to the pages section, say add new. Okay, and then I'm just going to title this sign up like this, and then we're going to publish the page. All right, and one of the issues when you go to do this initially is that you'll get let me hit publish. It's going to be on the top right hand side of the screen. Going to hit it again, hit this big button right here, and now it's published. One of the issues that you'll typically run into is that this address, and I'll zoom in here, that the address that you get for the opt-in page has this has a query inside of it that specifies the number of the page that's assigned to it. And I don't like the way that looks, because every time that you have to go and like look at what you're building, you would have to essentially, I just copied it, you'd essentially have to put in that query and then page ID equals 50, okay? And it's just, if you go to give this to a client, that just looks very unprofessional, right? They typically want just the root domain. So what we're going to do is we are going to set this as our default homepage, and it'll get rid of that little ugly extension there, or I should say endpoint. And the way that we do that, okay, is that we go back to our dashboard here, okay, and then in our column, there's going to be a section here called settings, and in settings, we're going to go to where it says reading, And in that reading section, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to click here where it says a static page, like that. Okay. And then where it says a static page, you see here where it says homepage, we're going to click on this drop down, and then we're going to identify sign up, which is the page that we just built, as the homepage. Okay. So we do that, sign up, and then all you have to do is come down here, hit save changes. Okay, and now all of a sudden that's become our homepage. Okay, now if we go back here to pages and we go to where we're going to kill this instance that we currently have, we're going to kill that. Okay, just removed it. And now we are going to, in this section, we're going to say view. Okay, and then all of a sudden now you see that that little query endpoint is gone. Okay, so it just cleans everything up. All right, so now we're going to go over to Elementor, and if you're ever in this situation and you want to get back to the dashboard, just highlight your URL or your domain and then hit dashboard, and we're back in there. Okay, now we have Elementor installed. You'll find it here in the left hand column, and all you have to do here is just go and I always want to go straight to where it says Elementor. Excuse me. This is to change settings in Elementor if you're ever curious. But we actually want to go here to where it says pages. Gonna go here. Okay, and then we are going to here where it says sign up. We're going to hit edit, and sometimes it'll already have the option edit with Elementor here. I don't know why I didn't set it up here in this particular case, but that's fine. All we have to do is hit edit here. And then as you see, you'll see a little mark here that says edit with Elementor, a little button. And that's when we're going to end up clicking. Okay. And now it sends us into our drag and drop environment to start building the opt-in form. Okay. So pretty simple, not too bad. Now the thing that one of the problems that we're running into right now is that there's like a bunch of extra stuff here that we don't want to see and that we don't really need for the opt-in form design. So the way that we remove that is that we're going to go down here on the bottom left-hand side, and you'll see a little gear. Go ahead and hit that. That's going to be your settings. And this page layout, what we're going to want to do is go ahead, click that page layout. Okay. And then what you're going to want to do is just say Elementor canvas. Okay. And then it'll just clean everything up for you. And I've worked with a bunch of different themes that make what we just did there very difficult and very annoying. So the fact that we're able to do that so fast is very, very nice. Okay, so now that that's all set up, we're going to get to designing. And let's go over some principles for Elementor. So everything in Elementor is essentially is sections within a section. Okay, so if you ever want to build anything, you're going to want to leverage this little drag widget here, essentially piece of the user interface, because it's going to essentially give you a target for where to drop your sections. And the way that we define a section is by clicking here on this plus button. Okay, so we're going to click on the plus button, and then it's going to give you essentially a way that going to give you options for how you can lay out the page that you want to set up. Okay, so that is essentially the core of what you want to look at here. Okay, and you really have to think about, okay, what's going to be the best way to lay out what I'm trying to go for. Okay, and one of the ways that you can easily identify that particular aspect or identify that that layout is by referencing your design. And as you can see, we really only have one big section here. Okay, there's not really a lot of components other than this guy right here, other than the logo, right? So really, when we go back to Elementor, I'm thinking that all we really need is just to do a 2 section, okay? Because we're not going to add the input form just yet, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say we want the 2 sections here, okay? And now you see this large section with 2 components, okay? And inside those components in and of themselves are a section, okay? So as this tutorial goes on, you'll start to see why Elementor is really just working with sections, okay? But let's say that we are in this current setup, okay? Well, what we're going to want to first do, if we look back at the design, is include this particular image inside of the design, okay? That's going to be one of the first key things that we want to do, okay? Now, just so you guys know, in order to export images or anything from your design from Figma, all you have to do is hit this, highlight what you want to export via its layer, okay? And then there is an option to export down below, okay? And you can even you can even export the quality of what you export and specify the extension of what you're attempting to export, just as a quick side note, okay? In this case, I've already exported this image, all right? So all I have to do to add it onto this section as the background is to click here, okay? So we're gonna click in the section. Let me zoom out. And what we're gonna do is I clicked in those the 6 dots there, okay? And where it says style, okay? Here we're gonna see, you can see that it says background, okay? And inside of this background, what we are gonna wanna do is go where it says classic, and then it's gonna give you the option to add a background image, okay? And that's where we're going to add the background image from the design. So we're going to click here. Okay. And I actually already uploaded that image onto this platform. Okay. But if you do not have it uploaded yet and you have to upload it from your computer, all you have to do is go upload files here, and you can either drag them or you could select the files from your local directory. Okay. So now that that's all set up, all I have to do is click here, okay? And this instance of WordPress does give us the ability to specify how we want to compress the image. And in our case, what we want to do is we want to prioritize the retention of detail. Sometimes you will get instances that don't have this option, but if it does, I always like to prioritize the retention of detail. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and insert the media, okay? So it's all set there. And now you see that the image is back here, okay? And that's actually a little annoying because that's not exactly what we want. So in order to be able to manipulate the way that this image is presented, we're going to go over here to the section where it says layout, okay? And in that layout section, what we're going to want to do is that we are going to want to affect the height of this section, okay? So go here and then click minimum height, okay? And it's still a little big, but we'll fix that in just a moment. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get the actual height from the design, okay? This is one of the benefits of Figma, okay? Because if you click here, on the actual image, like the layer of the image, which is here, this really elongated rectangle, okay? If you click there and you go to your right-hand column, it's going to have a height section, okay? And that height section is in pixels, and it's set right now to 470. So we're going to go ahead and just copy that number and bring it back over to Elementor. And as you can see, the height can be set to pixels, and we just came from pixels. So all we're going to do is paste it there. And now we have a section that is comparable in terms of height. Okay. Now, just so you know, this is one of the first few changes that we've made to this page. So I think it's important at this point that we save what we've done, okay? So to do that, all you have to do is hit this big green button here, update, okay? Bottom right-hand side of the left column here, update. We're gonna hit update, and then it decolorizes, and cool. We are now saved, and now we're gonna go over to our freelancejuice.com opt-in page, okay? And you'll see that the change is now reflected, okay? Now, I am going to keep this particular tab open because we're going to be doing a lot of back and forth in this particular crash course. So feel free to keep it open or close it, but I recommend keeping it open. It's just going to be easier for you. And we're going to come over here to Elementor, okay? And now we're going to fix the image, okay? The guy's face is just a little too big. So to fix the image, we're going to go ahead and identify that we want to work with the section again, just in case. I always like to identify what section I'm going to work in, because it dictates essentially what goes on in this column. Okay, so once that's all said and done, we're going to go back to style, and now we have some options to play with the image. Now, that's the thing with Elementor, is that you're not coding as much as you're kind of molding things to look like your design. Okay, so you have to give yourself the flexibility to play with things so that they come out the way that you want them to look, kind of similar to Figma to some degree. Okay, so in our case, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to get this image to look just like our design here. Okay, and this is a challenge. This is a challenge even in Elementor, is matching your design to the build. Okay, coders deal with that, and people who work with Elementor also deal with that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is you could affect the positioning of the image through here, but what I want to do is that I want to do a cover. Okay, and then I want to also do a no repeat, and we're also going to keep it, we could do a default there, and the position center, you can play with this a little bit and see what you want. Let me see, let's take a look at, that's the wrong tab, let's take a look at the design. Yeah, so he's pretty far to the left. Let's go take a look at what we have. He's almost too far to the left there. Let's look at default. And that's just about right. Okay, that's just about right, I would say. And if you see, if you take note, we really only changed a couple settings. So we changed it to cover, and then we took off the no repeat. Okay, and all of a sudden we have our background. Okay, so easy enough. All right. Now the next part that we're going to want to do is that we're going to want to integrate this this particular logo. Okay, and all we have to do to be able to export this logo is what I demonstrated or explained to you guys earlier, is highlight the piece and the layer that we want, which is this particular logo, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit export, and then we're just going to, where it says export logo, we're going to do it as a PNG. We're going to go ahead and export that PNG. Okay, and then we're going to come back here to the Elementor, and in Elementor you're going to go ahead, you're going to hit this hamburger bar here, and then hit the back switch once more. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get this component, an image component. You're going to want to drag it over, okay? And it's going to be this big block, okay? But we'll change it so that it's not a big block forever, okay? So here on the left hand side, it gives us the option to choose our image. We're going to hit that, and then we're going to upload a file, and you can just drag it onto here, and then it starts, and that's the logo that we got from Figma, just to keep you guys in the loop. So we dragged it over, it's already loaded up, and we're going to say that we want to prioritize the retention of detail. We insert the media, and all of a sudden we have our logo on our site. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Okay, and the thing with Elementor that I've realized is essentially the less that you do with it, the more that it helps you. And I know as coders, we really want to break everything and take everything apart and then put it back together. But remember, Elementor is a tool that's designed for even people who don't code. Okay, so the more you get into that mentality of, hey, I'm going to put my coder mindset to the side and I'm going to work with this tool in the way that it was designed, the easier it's going to be for you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and then just hit update, and then we're going to validate that change here on our page. And yeah, look, so we have the logo on there, we have the guy, which is nice and simple, really cool. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to want to affect the positioning of this logo. Okay, because right now it's just a little too much to the center. Okay, and eventually what we're really going to want to end up doing is putting it here to the right. Okay, and as you can see, that is exactly where it is on our design. Okay, so to do that, what we're going to want to do, let's preserve the size here, and we're actually going to add spacing by duplicating one of these sections. Okay, so to duplicate a section, to do that, all you have to do is hit here, you're going to double click it and then just say duplicate, and then all of a sudden you have an additional section. Okay, so it's very, very helpful. And spacing in Elementor is done by sections or by spacing components. Okay, so that's pretty much how easy it is to space things around your site, and everything is already pre-developed to work responsively. So when you go to make things responsive, it's essentially pretty much 90% done for you. You'll have to make a few adjustments here or there, which is really handy, because if you come from Coderland, we all know how much of a pain it could be to do mobile first development, and this really makes that process a lot less painful. Okay, so now when we're doing this, what we're going to want to do is I wanted to get a little bit more to the right hand side of the page. Okay, so I still want to get it just a little bit higher up here maybe. So we're gonna downsize this just a tad bit. Okay, just a tad bit. Maybe down to like maybe down to 30% there. Okay, like a nice good even number. And then I just reference, excuse me, that's not the design. I just reference the design. I'd say that's just about good enough. Okay, we might not get the exact proportion, but I would say that's just about good enough. We can always tweak it later. Okay, so now we got that all set up, and then the next thing that we're going to do is that we want to move this up. Okay, and this is where the spacing component that I mentioned earlier comes in. Okay, so to do spacing in Elementor, you have to utilize these spacers. It's a pain in the butt if you don't utilize these spacers, because again, everything that you use from a component standpoint is already optimized for mobile, and when you skip utilizing the tools that are already built out for you, you can make your life a nightmare with a tool like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit the spacer here. Okay, and then we are going to add it down here, and you see how it already moved up. Okay, well, I want to get it to the top of the page just a little bit more. Okay, so the way that we are going to do that is here on the left hand side column is that you see that it has a space and it's a dragger. So we're going to drag this little scroll here. Okay, and we moved it up to 230 pixels. I would say that's pretty decent, honestly. That might be right where we want it. Let's go ahead and look at our design one more time. Right here, it's just touching the back of this wall, on the edge of that this decorative wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it up just a little bit more. And again, I'm not too worried about this being like super exact. I'm just want to get a very, very close looking build to our design. Okay. And now we're going to hit update, and then we're going to go back to our design. And if you take a look, we're pretty close. I think we're pretty close. Now let's go and look at the actual page. We're going to refresh it, and there you see it at the top right hand side. Okay, so that's simple, and probably one of the reasons why I really like using Elementor is that it really can be that simple if you know how to use the tool effectively. Okay, so now that we have that, all we really have to do now is just go ahead and integrate a form. Okay, the actual opt-in form. Okay, and the way that we are going to do that is that we are going to come in over here, and in the component section you're going to look for HTML. Okay, and we are going to drop an HTML element into a section that we're about to create. Okay, and then we'll go into exactly how to do that. To add the HTML component, very similar to how we added the initial section, you just go ahead and you hit this plus button here. Okay, and then in this case we really only need a single component, but for that form. But the thing is that we want to center it, right? So to help us, what we're going to do is we're going to use these three sections here, these three subsections, and we're going to go ahead and hit that, and this will allow us to essentially set up the form here in the middle section. Okay, and we're going to go back to that HTML element because right now we're looking at the section. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to come here to the HTML element. Okay, and we're going to drag it here to the center of so there's 3 sections here, and we're going to drag it to the center one. We're going to drop it, and then what this is going to allow us to do is that it's going to allow us to paste in the code that gets generated from the Mailchimp form. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that here. Okay, but before we do that, I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. Okay. Now, at this point, what we're going to do is that we're going to go over to Mailchimp, okay, and I'm going to go to the initial home screen. So if you don't have a Mailchimp account, just go ahead and set one up for this crash course. And once you have it all set up, you're going to have a dashboard that looks like this, okay? And in this dashboard, what you're going to want to do is hover over your name. You're going to go ahead and click that. Okay, and you're going to go to where it says profile, okay, and then in profile, you're going to go to where it says extras, and then you're going to go to where it says API keys, okay. Now, in this particular API key, in this particular section, I should say, what we're going to want is this API key here specifically, okay, because that's what's going to allow us to do the integration for the opt-in form. Okay, now to be able to execute that integration into our website, what we're going to want to do is actually go back to our WordPress dashboard, where we're going to install a plugin where we can use this particular API key. Okay, so if you click back to the tab where your Elementor is, and we will come back to this particular column here in just a little bit. So we're going to go back here, and then we're going to exit back to the dashboard. Okay, now we've exited back to the dashboard. Now I'm getting rid of this here at the bottom so it doesn't take any space. Okay, so now that we're here, we're going to go to the plugins. Okay, and we're going to do add new. Okay, and then we're going to look for a plugin by the name of MC. So Mailchimp for, and then WP, Mailchimp for WordPress. Okay, and this is the puppy that we want right here, this guy right here. Okay, and all you have to do is go ahead and say install now. Okay, installed, and now we are going to go ahead and activate it. Okay, it is now activated, as you can see here. Okay, and we should be able to see it here on our left column now that it's been installed. And let's see here, it's not WP Forms. Oh, here it is, MC4WP. Okay, and now that we're here, you're going to see that it says API key. Okay, and then it has an input box. That's where we're going to input the API key that you saw in Mailchimp. All right, so we're going to come over here. We're going to highlight the API key. Okay, we're going to go ahead and copy it. We're going to bring it over here. Okay, we're going to paste it. Okay, and then we are going to save the changes. Okay, and then all of a sudden you'll see that it says connected here. Okay, so so now our website is aware of the fact via this plugin that we are gonna integrate an opt-in form. Okay, so we save those changes. Okay, and boom, we're pretty much set from a technical standpoint to integrate the form. The only other thing that we're going to want to do is that we're going to want to actually build the form in of itself. And the way that we do that, here, let me clear some of this stuff, is that we go to where it says freelancejuice.com. And then we go to where it says, oh, excuse me. Yeah, I was looking for it in this dashboard. It's actually right here. Excuse me. You see where it says form here in this column? You're going to go and hit that. And we're going to say that we want to add a new form, and we could just call this signups. Signups for freelance. Let's do lowercase, freelance juice. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and say add new form. Okay, and then it's gonna ask you to which Mailchimp list should this form subscribe, and you'll set up a initial list when you set up your account for Mailchimp, so you'll have something here. Okay, or you should if you did it right. And all you have to do, hit that checkbox, and then hit add new form. Okay, and boom, now all of a sudden we have an email form. Okay, now there is a paid version of this particular plugin that allows you to do more customization, and in our case, I would love to do that, but I also want to present you guys how to build something efficiently without having to spend tons of money to be able to build it and then get it out to the marketplace, or be able to build it for somebody who has essentially hired you to build them an opt-in page. So what we're going to be doing, we're actually going to be doing a little bit of CSS to build out this form, because essentially this is our form here. Okay, this is a functional form. We're going to get it out to the Elementor in just a little bit, but I want to design this just a little bit so that we get the look that we're going for, okay, that you can see right here. Okay, so the way that we go about doing that is actually fairly simple, despite it being actual CSS code. So if you go here and you highlight the component that you want, the visual component that you want in Figma, and you go to the top right hand screen, you're going to see a section here that says inspect, and all of these elements to some degree will have a CSS that corresponds to them. Okay, and essentially what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to copy a lot of what you see here and bring it over to the form and integrate it for the free way of doing it in an inline style in CSS. Okay, and if you guys want me, I do have a CSS tutorial in this channel, but if you guys want me to do a full-on CSS crash course, I could do that for you guys to get you guys caught up. But right now it's going to be pretty simple. It's not going to be nothing too crazy. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to initially set a div tag, and actually let me see if I can pop in here just a little bit more so it's easy for you guys to see. We're going to want to create a div tag like this, and then we are going to actually we're going to take this out, we're going to cut it, and then we're going to paste it here. Okay, let me see. Yep, there you go. And then I'm just going to tab this so that it makes visual sense. Just bring that in. Okay. All right, so there you go. Okay, so now that that is all set up, we have essentially a container for our form. And in that container, what I want to do is I want to set up a style attribute, and I want to add CSS into this attribute. Okay, so if I were to do say like color red, you'll actually see that it changes the text for that color. The color for that text, right? So you can essentially do a custom styling here, which is really, really cool. So if you have really good CSS skills, you can kind of, you go pretty ham in this particular section. Okay, and so let's see here. What we're going to want to do is that we are going to want to go and reference our CSS from our Figma. Okay, so it looks like it has a positioning of absolute, but we don't really need that because we're taking care of the positioning on our end. What I want to do is that I want to set up a box shadow. Okay, so literally, and I know it's a little hard to see, but I'm highlighting a property by the name of box shadow, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just copy that property, and then here in the style attribute within the string, I'm just gonna go ahead and I copied it. I'm just gonna go ahead and paste here. Okay. And then if you can see, we already have the box shadow, and it's to the specifications that you're getting in Figma. Okay, so that's one of the really powerful things about Figma. You don't have to spend all day just writing CSS. You could get most of it from the design. Now the thing is you can tell here is that the height is not exactly where we want it. So we're going to go ahead and actually change that as well. So the width is 690. Okay, and we're going to add that right now. Actually, let's just make our life easy. Let's just go ahead, copy that width. Okay, and we're going to go back here to the form. We're going to paste it here. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we should be getting the width that we want with 690, and then the height was I think it was 670. Okay, like this, pixels. And now all of a sudden we have a form to the size that we want, okay? And all we're really gonna do is just copy what we're seeing here, okay? So we want a border radius of 20 px, okay? Copy that. And then let's go bring that over here, okay? And just so that this becomes a little bit more legible for you guys, I'm going to tab each of these properties, okay? So width, height, box shadow, and then what was the other one that we wanted to add? Border. There you go, border radius, okay? So now, and it's pretty big, but you see here the edge, okay? So we got the border that we want, which is awesome. Now we want to affect the, we're actually gonna add a tag here for the copy, okay? So H1, okay? And, okay, cool. We could keep it like that. So we're going to add an H1 tag, and then we're going to write that copy over here. Clicked on the wrong one. It's learn the secrets to developing applications that make you money for free. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and copy that. Then we're going to bring it over here to our form, and then we're going to paste it. Okay. Now the thing is that we don't really have a whole lot of control over the fonts in this particular setup, which is fine, but we could get it pretty close. So let's go back to our Figma and let's look at it. So our font, the one that I picked was Poppins, which is fine, but it does not look like it's going to be very friendly to us in terms of using it. But let's go ahead down here. What we're going to do is what I really care about is that I want to get the font size and then the font weight. Okay, that's going to be the most important for me. And then we're going to do we're going to do a text line here. But let me just do one of these at a time. So let's go ahead and get the font size correct. So we're going to come over here. So copy, and then we're going to say style is equal to. And this is a really great way. I should say that this is a really great way to get your form to look exactly like your design, or get as close as possible, because that's not always, as I mentioned before, that's not always the easy thing to do. Okay, actually, yeah, I do want it on that top line. It just looks better. Okay, so there it is. So we have the right font size, and we're going to do a text align. Okay, and this text align was in the Figma as well. We're going to do center like that. Okay, and it's a big one. Okay, but there it is. All right, so we have the text align center, and then what we want is the font weight, and I'm gonna like this. I'm just gonna write this one out because I remember it. So font weight. Okay, and then it's gonna be 700 pixels like this. Just like that, and then all of a sudden we have that look. Okay, there's one more thing that I wanted to get from this was font size, font weight, font style is normal, font family. Let's go and do. We'll keep the font family as it is right now. But if you want to change the font family, you can just look that up on the internet. It's super easy. Okay, so we're gonna keep the font family there so that we can focus on the label in and of itself. Okay, so I actually don't really need it to say email address. Okay, that's fine. So we're gonna take that out. We'll keep the label tag there. We could take it off, but I just don't. It's not hurting anything, so I'm just gonna keep it there for right now. And then I'm gonna change the placeholder to what it says in the design, and it says add your email here. Okay, let me see, add your email here. So add your email here as such, and then ... Okay, so we're getting closer. Now let's go and come over here to our input box, and then we're going to copy some of the properties, some of these properties over to our to our build. So we're going to do the width is 522, and then the height looks like it's 108. So we'll type the height in there. Let me go. Where am I going? Oh, we have to add a style. Okay, so let's do a style attribute here, and then now we have the desired width. Okay, and then the height was 108 pixels. I think. Did I say, guys? I think it was 108 pixels. That looks huge. Was it 108? Let me see. Yeah, it was 108. think I have to see this form once it's like all said and done. Okay, but we have that all done. Now let's go ahead, and I keep clicking on that one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the placeholder. I don't know how exactly we're going to change that placeholder to look more like that font, like the font that we want. So for right now, we're probably just going to keep it stock. Because we could get into like the really nitty gritty to try to target this, but I think it's really out of the scope of this tutorial to get that hairs and like to split that many hairs. Okay, so we have that. What we want to do in this input is that we want to get the box shadow, which is super important, right? You see, if you could tell in the design, there's like this very subtle box shadow. That's what we want to get. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get that, and then why not? Let's just get the border radius too, okay, which is going to round out those corners. So we're going to go ahead and get that. We're going to come back here. We're going to have to do some formatting because I just copied a bunch of CSS, but that's fine. Okay, so we're going to come over here, and then we're going to paste that there. Okay, good. And so we have the box shadow, and then we have the border radius, which is really good. Okay, let me see. And let me go back to Figma. And this is actually an internal box shadow, and I don't know why it didn't copy the way that I wanted it to. So let's go ahead and try that one more time. Because it didn't, it says box shadow, but it's not inset, which is what we want. So I copied that property again, and now we're going to get the look that we want. Okay. Now, if you see here, there's this hard black line. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. And all we have to do is do border and then none, and then that should take care of that. So border none, and then now we don't have that black line anymore, which is super helpful. Now the thing is if you notice in this form, it's positioned to the input is still positioned to the left. So what we're gonna do is we're actually going to we're gonna set up a quick Flexbox. Okay, so on top of this label tag, and now I'm glad I didn't delete it. So in this label tag, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say style is equal to, okay. And then we're going to say display, and then flex like this. And then after that, what we're going to write is we're going to say justify content, and then we're going to say center. And then that'll center this the input box where we want it. Okay, and then the last thing that we're going to do here is that we're going to tackle the submit input, okay, where it says sign up. So we're going to go over here, and again, and the Figma is really nice because it really guides you as to what the properties you should be using for your CSS, and it kind of prevents you from utilizing stuff that you don't need, which I actually find it very helpful. Okay, and in this case, since you guys pretty much know how this works with Figma, I'm just going to go ahead and actually just copy all of the CSS, and then we'll deal with some formatting here in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy it, and then we're going to go to where it says style, and then I'll format it so that you guys can read it in case you want to emulate this. Okay, and then I'm going to go here. We're going to paste it. Okay, and you see pretty much we got everything that we need, right? Let me go here. We're going to have to change some stuff about that font, but we'll take care of it here in just a sec. So we're going to tab that there. And, you know, normally I would say maybe formatting is not the biggest of deals, but if you want to make sure that your stuff is readable for you in the future, I would take care of it. Otherwise, you know, if you're just trying to build it fast, but I would say best practices, I mean, you're going to hand this over to a client, right? So you want to make sure that your stuff is clean. Okay, so that's good right there. And type submit, value, sign up. Okay, that's all good. The only thing that we really have to do here is to remove the border. Okay, so border none. Okay, so we remove that border, and then we're going to set up a flex container here in just a sec to center this. And then we also want to change the font, okay, the name of that font. So the way that the font is styled. So we're going to hit that, and then we're going to get some specifications for that font. So we're going to get a font weight and then a font size, okay, and that's excellent. Now we're going to do, just going to copy that, and then we're going to come over here back to the form, okay, and then again, just paste it here. Okay, and then now you have the font that we want. Right now, there's a hover effect to it, which is a little annoying. Let me see. Hover. I think we could just remove, let me see. Hover none like this. Let's see if that works. No, there is a very annoying hover effect that I'll have to I'll remove outside of this tutorial, because it just I'd love to get into it right now to really like get that removed, but it's honestly just going to take up unnecessary time, and you guys get the point. Okay, so now the last thing that we're going to do here is that we are going to style our we're going to center this button. So we're going to say display here. Okay. And then we're very similar to the last Flexbox that we did. Okay, so display flex, and then justify content like this. And then we're going to go ahead and hit center like that. And then all of a sudden we pretty much have the input box that we need, right? Now, the only thing here is that there is a space between the button, a large space between the button and then the input in and of itself. So here, honestly, to just make this rapid, you can again elaborate all of this within the CSS in and of itself. But in this case, I'm going to handle this problem by just doing a couple breakpoints just for the sake of simplicity, and we're going to get essentially the same effect. Okay, well, let me see how far. Yeah, so this is that's actually pretty good. Let me see down here. Yeah, I think the form might just be just a little too tall, but yeah, see, because this is the top edge of the form, and it seems like it's really it seems like everything's just kind of scrunched up to the top. So what we're going to do is that we are going to add a container around all the contents here. Okay, and what we are going to say is we're going to say display flex, and then we're going to say justify content, and then spread. Is it, yeah, spread evenly, or space evenly like that. Okay, and it's think, oh yeah, you have to do like I think it's align content. We'll try this, and if it doesn't work, I'll just add the breakpoints. Align content column. Oh, here, let's just take 2 seconds to look it up. Okay, so how to vertically align, how to make a column in Flexbox CSS like this. How to create a 2-column CSS Flexbox. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I just want to make it vertical. Items, container. Try it yourself. Display, flex direction. Okay, it's this property flex direction, and then it's going to be column. Okay, so display flex, and then flex direction, and then it's going to be column. So let's just go ahead and copy that right now. Then we're going to come back here. Okay, and then we were really close actually. So we're just going to go ahead, paste that, and you see how it's back into a column. And then now it's when we want to specify the spacing. So justify content, and then it's going to be evenly like this. Okay, I see justify content, and then it's actually space evenly, excuse me, and you're going to see just a little bit better spacing. Okay, and you know what, that spacing is decent enough where I think I'm just going to remove the 2 breakpoints that we added. Okay, so I'm just going to remove these 2 here. Okay, voila, and now we have our form. Okay, and again, I wanted to get rid of this hover. I think maybe you can, there's a setting here, if I can remember correctly, that allows you to be able to remove that form. But for the sake of simplicity, we're going to go ahead and just save it right now. Okay, now before we go to save, what I wanted to say is this is the key part. So remember that HTML box that we set up? Okay, that HTML box, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to copy this and add this to that HTML box, and that will officially allow us to be able to integrate the form into the website. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, hit save. Okay, and that's all saved. It's all fine and dandy, which is excellent. Okay, and then now what we're going to do is that we are going to go ahead and copy, okay, this short code. Okay, so Command C, and now it is copied. All right, and now with the short code in hand, we're going to go over here to our pages section. And now it looks like the edit with Elementor option is here, the link. So we're going to go ahead and click that. Okay. And what we're going to do is that we're going to add our shortcode to the HTML element that we had before. Okay. And now we're just going to paste the shortcode in here. Okay. You hit update, and we're going to go to our live site, refresh, and boom. There you go. Now we have our opt-in form inside of our website, okay, which is really good. Now let's go ahead and test the responsiveness of this particular form. Okay, so it looks like the logo is aligning well. We can change the image a little bit later so that the logo is not covering the guy's face. But if you can see here, the shape of the the shape of the opt-in form is kind of too big, and it's actually extending out here to the right hand side. Okay, and I actually noticed that it doesn't seem like, I can't tell if there's a background on here or not. I think it might be transparent because there's no it's kind of hard to tell with that shadow, but we'll check in the CSS here in just a second. So we're gonna have to actually make this just a little bit smaller, and to see essentially what viewport that we want to, what sizing we want. I'll just open up developer tools really quick and then just highlight I actually don't need to highlight anything. If you see there, it says 468. That's the width that we're going to end up making the form in order for it to fit. Because right now it's not quite doing that. Okay. And the only reason, let's say if you didn't want to do the custom setup, because we did a custom setup with this form, but initially, Mailchimp to WordPress, that plugin, it essentially allows you to just utilize the default form that it comes with, and you don't have to do any of this, any of the CSS aspect of this. The only reason why I figured it would be a good idea to do that is to just give you guys a little bit more, to show you that how much control you can have in a setup like this. But Mailchimp to WordPress, pretty much the default email will do for most clients as long as it's set up properly. Okay, so let's go ahead and not use that one, but let's go here and then let's go back to our dashboard. And now that we're back in the dashboard, what we're going to do is we're going to go to where it says form for the Mailchimp to WordPress, Mailchimp for WordPress. And let me see here. I want to take a look at that background. Yeah, so it does not even look like we had a background on that form. So let's actually change that really quick. We're going to say background just to test. Let's do background. I don't know why I did all caps. We're going to do background color and then red like this. Yeah, okay, yeah, so we didn't have a background color. Okay, so and we're going to do white like this. Actually, what is the hex for ours? Is it pure white? Yeah, it is pure white. Okay, yeah, it's pure white. I think that's why it was hard to tell. Okay, but it is white now. Okay, which is good. And then the next thing that we want to do is that we want to truncate this form so that it fits our mobile view. And the way that we're going to do that is that we're going to change the container for the form, which is this div here, and we're going to add some more styling to it. So we change the background color. And then we're also going to do width here. Okay. And it looked like the mobile was 468, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it looked like 468. I might be off by 1 or 2 pixels, but okay. So 468 there. Okay. And then it's going to go, that'll automatically change. The only other thing that I wanted to also change. So let's see the bed. Yeah. So I think that we have a conflicting property. Yeah. This is the conflicting property because we have 2 width properties. So we're going to eliminate this guy. Okay. So that's good. That bumper is gone. Let me see. Yeah. So now you see how the form just became a little bit smaller. This is going to be more apt for mobile. Okay. And now we're also going to want to change. You see how the text box is just kind of smashing up against the side there? Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to make that guy just a little bit smaller. So where is the text box? It is this puppy right here. Okay, and there we're going to make this guy down to, I think so. If the phone width is at 468, we're going to do this to 400. Okay, so that it fits within the container. It looks like it does. And then now we just have to modify this button. And what we're going to do there is let's do 350, so just a little bit smaller than that text box, 350px. Now, the cool thing about being able to make modifications on this form is that when you save the changes, the shortcode automatically updates on the site, right? So if we change the CSS there, you go ahead and you save it, and you already see that the form is in better formatting. Now, it just occurred to me that I think the way to actually get rid of this the red in the hover there, what we're gonna do, let's go back. I think it's just this. It's literally just this. It's color and then white, right? And is that the submit button? Yeah, it is. Go down here. Yeah. Okay, so there you go. So we got a better looking form when everything was said and done. And this will happen, guys. This will happen where you go with an initial design, but in practice, it doesn't come out exactly that way. In this case, I like to go the extra mile when I'm with my clients, and I'll find some way to essentially make this look exactly as it is, or try to as close. But in this case, I think it's good to adapt for mobile, because if it doesn't look good on mobile, then you're kind of screwed, because websites are accessed through mobile phones. Like that really is, people are primarily browsing the internet on their phones. Okay, so that's all set. Let's go back to the form, and it's all set. All right, and now we're gonna go and do our mobile test. Okay, cool, and it's looking really good. And just in case you guys need to check mobile on Elementor in and of itself, what I would do is go to Pages, okay, and then in Pages, and we'll do this naturally too, because there's a couple more things that we need to do. Go to Edit with Elementor, and then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna down here where we had our other gear, where we had our settings gear, and then. Yeah, so where we had our settings gear, what we're going to do is that we're going to hit this button, this icon, these icons that say responsive mode. Okay, and what we're going to do, you can switch them around to mobile. So this is going to give you an idea what it's going to look like on mobile. You can switch them around to tablets and then to desktop. Okay, so that's really helpful when you're moving things around for different viewports. Okay, so let's go and actually take a look at how this looks like for mobile. So our menu, we know that our opt-in form looks good, so we're effectively done there. The one thing that I don't like about this is essentially the fact that the guy's face is right behind the logo. Okay, so what we're gonna do is that we are gonna click here, and again, we're in the section for the image, okay, for the background image, and there we're going to go to where it says style, and then if you click, if I can remember correctly, if you click here, no, that's not correct. Let me take that out. Here, okay, yeah. So right now it's set to mobile, but this right here, it's gonna set the image to what it would look like in desktop. We want to specify what the image should be when we get to mobile, and in our case, we're actually just going to utilize. If I remember correctly, this is exactly how you set this up. So prioritize retention detail. We're going to insert it there. Okay, so it's going to be the same image, but we're just going to change it around a little bit. Okay, so when it's in mobile, we actually want the positioning to change. Okay, so let's see what it looks like center. So center actually might do it. Let me see here. Fixed. Actually, that literally might do it. Let me see. I think this might be just a little bit better. Okay, so we're going to keep it like that, and then when we hit update, okay, and then we'll get some pretty cool effects here. So, or at least I think we will. So let's go back to the form. Let's go refresh on the site. And now when we go to mobile, you'll see that the guy's face is going to be removed, right? And it actually shifts it for us, which is a really cool effect. Okay, so we're going to go back in, scrunch in right there, and then boom, you see how the guy left, and then now it's just the freelancejuice.com. Now the thing is if you notice, this form is still down here. We actually want to bring this form up a little bit so that it eats away into the background, because if you remember in the design, let's go ahead and you see here, you see how in the design it's kind of eating away at the background. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to come back here, okay, and we are going to go to, let me see here. We're going to exit out of the mobile. Okay, so we're out of mobile now, and we're back into our HTML for the form. Okay, now what we're going to do is we want that form to eat away into this background a little bit. Okay, and the way to do that is through hit advanced here, that the little gear, and then you're going to come here and it's going to say margin. Okay, and margin, what we're going to want to do is go negative on the margin in this case, because we want to disproportionately go up, and I know that sounds counterintuitive, but that's what we want to do, and it's not going to allow us to do that if we have the chain function on. So we're going to take that off so that we can only affect the top, which is effectively going to allow us to touch or mess with the you know what, maybe we don't actually. Let's try the bottom, because all I want really to give you guys the plain and simple is I just want to move this guy up. Okay, so let's actually try it from the bottom and see how that goes for us. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. We want to move this to the top, and we do that through the top margin. I don't know how this actually maps out to like your actual CSS properties, to be quite honest, but I just use it as it's coming to me at this point. So let's go. All right, so there. Okay, so if we go negative, it's going to go up, which is good, which is what we want. And I actually want this to be pretty substantial. So instead of just clicking one by one there, I'm going to do 250. And then, actually, I guess maybe 250 is too aggressive. Let's do 200. Okay, and then let's go ahead and hit update, and then let's go take a look at our form. And if you can see before we go look at our form, the form is here. You could see you could barely see the shortcode, but it's here, but it's right there. Okay, and then you saw that HTML box disappear. So it's going to be hard to access that, because from a drag and drop perspective, because it's now kind of in the space of another section. So we've essentially collided two sections together to some regard. To some degree, and because of that, the interactiveness of the drag and drop features on Elementor don't work as well. And a way to get around that is to essentially go here on the bottom left hand side and go to where it says Navigator. Okay, and what this will do is that it'll open up. Oh, I didn't open it up here. Let me click it. Okay, so I click Navigator, and it'll break down your whatever your platform is in the form of the sections that it represents. And if you were ever not able to access that HTML, all you have to do is find the section where that HTML is in, click on it, and then you're going to be able to edit that section. Okay, and here you go, you see the shortcode here. Okay, and that's just for being able to access things that are otherwise out of your reach from a drag and drop perspective. Okay, so that's all said and good. That's done there, and then let's go ahead and go and refresh this, and now you see it's eating into the background, which is what we want. And let's go to mobile one more time just to test, and we're looking good. We're looking really, really good. Now, one more thing that I'll do here just to finish up is sometimes there's going to be elements in your opt-in form that you want to change. Okay, so for example, maybe we don't want to utilize the freelance juice logo when we go to mobile. Okay, well, I think it looks pretty good there. Maybe we just want to do the juice drops. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're in Figma. We're in Figma. We're just going to copy this logo really quick, bring it up here, and we're actually going to blow up these teardrops a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do it outside of the design because I just want to isolate them. I'm going to go away from inspect and go to where it says design. Blow these up. Oh, excuse me. Blow these up just a teensy-weensy bit. Maybe Let's go up to 200 because we could always downsize them. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay, and then we're going to export these. Let's just do a 2x. Let's see what that looks like, and it's going to be a PNG format. Okay, we're going to export these, and then we're going to bring them in. And what we're going to do is we want to hide this logo. Effectively, what we want to do is we want to hide this logo and this spacing, okay? Because this logo and the spacing, if you see, so let's go to mobile really quick. I'm gonna remove this because this is just a representation of what got downloaded. So this logo and the spacing, when we go to mobile, is still there. So it's still present even in our mobile view. And to be quite honest, let me actually see how this looks like in mobile again. Yeah, I mean, we could get it. Honestly, we could get away with that. I think that's completely fine. We don't necessarily need to take it off, the spacing at least, but we do want to take off the logo. So what we're going to do, we want to take off the .com and the small juice drops. So what we're going to do is that we're going to highlight this, okay? And then we are going to go to where it says advanced, and in responsiveness, and this is going to be the section here called responsiveness, okay? And what we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and actually remove the responsiveness, okay? Remove the logo in mobile, okay? So it says hide on mobile, okay? Yeah, we're going to hide it on mobile, and you see here where it gets grayed out. So now if you hit save, when you go to production and you go ahead and you refresh it, you don't see it anymore, okay? Well, it's good because when we go into mobile, we just want the teardrops. I said teardrops, the juice drops. Okay, so what we're going to do is when we're in mobile, we're going to add a section here, and it's going to be, or a component, and it's going to be an image component. Okay, and that image component is going to be the juice drops, okay? And we're going to go ahead and add them here, upload the file, select files. Let me get the juice drops. Where are they at? Where are my crispy juice drops? Here we go. These are the crispiest stuff juice drops. These are the best ones right here. Dang, look at these juice drops. All right, so we're going to get them right here. Okay, and the way that I export the image will affect the quality of the image. And just for best practices, guys, don't put pixelated stuff. Don't put distorted images. So if you have to go the extra mile so that your stuff doesn't come out distorted or pixelated, do it, because it's going to make a difference for the client. All right, so you go in, you say insert, or we press insert there. Let's see if we could downsize these a little bit. Medium. Okay, there you go. We're going to go ahead and hit update. And then we're going to come back over here to our sign up form. And now actually, you know what? I think these, did we already specify? I can't remember if we already specified. So we're going to go to the images here, and the responsiveness. In the responsiveness, what we want to do is that we want to hide these on tablet and desktop, but we want to show them on mobile. Okay, and then now we're going to go to update. And then if we come back here, okay, and refresh this, you're going to see the regular logo, okay, when we start out. But then as we go to scrunch, okay, we're going to go to scrunch, get smaller, that's fine. Now you see it switch to the teardrops, and now you have the teardrop logo here when you're in mobile, okay? So that's pretty cool. It's a way to be able to work with, essentially have a look for mobile and then have a look for desktop, and just one of the cool little tools that you can do to be able to make that happen. And then just the last little touch here that I'll do is that I'll make this the form fade in, and it's very, very easy to do that. All you have to do is you're going to come here, and we're gonna need to highlight. And by the way, when you do stuff for mobile and then desktop, you're not going to be able to remove it from the design. You're just going to be able to gray it out, but you're not going to be able to see this in desktop. Okay, so you have to be conscious that that's going to change the way that your build looks. But when everything comes out, it's going to look like as it should, right? So I want to access this form, and now, like I said, it's very hard to access. Maybe it's actually easy to access, and it's not always the case. And now that I'm affecting the form, what I want to do is I want to hit a transform, and what I want, not transform, motion effects, and then I want it to fade. Let's just do it like a fade in, and then we just want it to do a delay of 100 milliseconds, and then we're going to save it. And then now when we go to refresh, you'll see the form fade in. Okay, cool. And now you have an effect, you have mobile ready to go, and there you go, guys. That's pretty much how you end up being able to set up an opt-in form. Okay. Now the last thing that we'll do here is that we will write a test email. Okay, so let's just do Fido self-taught hustle. Fido, is it? Yeah, Fido.self-taught hustle. Sometimes I forget. Okay, so Fido.self-taught. Oh, you know what? Actually, that's the email that I used to sign up for Mailchimp. So let's just do. Oh yeah, I think I could still use it. So yeah, Fido.self-taught hustle. But then all I have to do whenever you guys want to test is just add a plus and 13. It's like some sort of it's like a Google protocol that you could do that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and hit sign up. Okay, and then you're gonna get a thank you message, and you could customize this thank you message through the CSS tools that I was showing you guys, or through that CSS text editor. But that works for me right now, and it looks like it's submitted successfully, which is really, really good. The last thing we're gonna do here is let's just go ahead and check here our audience in Mailchimp, and then we're gonna go to where it says all contacts. And then if you see right here, you see our actual email. Okay, so there you go, guys. That was it. That's how you set up an opt-in form. Very, very simple, something that clients want all the time. And I just, ideally, this has been helpful for you. If you want to learn more secrets to how to be able to build stuff that clients need and that the market is in demand for, go ahead and check out this following promotion.
What is up, y'all? It is Fido. I know how difficult it can be having a technical skill set like coding and having one door after another shut on you because you're self-taught or you don't meet the air quote requirements. I spent nearly 2 years of my life getting rejected by company after company in my attempt to become a software developer, even though I could code. If you're tired of waiting for the right opportunity to arrive and have thought about freelancing as a software developer, join my email list at freelancejuice.com, where I share my lessons in the industry on how you can get started making money from coding ASAP.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for following along. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.